Welcome back to News in Focus. Now, as South Africa braces for the planned June the 30th anti-illegal immigration protests, law enforcement agencies are moving to reassure the public that the country will remain safe and secure. The South African Police Service has enlisted the support of the private security industry in a coordinated effort aimed at preventing violence, protecting critical infrastructure, and countering the spread of misinformation that could inflame tensions or divert security resources from genuine threats. Reports indicate that the lessons learned from the July 2021 unrest are shaping the security response, with authorities and private security firms strengthening intelligence sharing and verification processes to ensure rapid and effective action is taken. Against a backdrop of heightened public anxiety, concerns over xenophobic violence, and growing debate around immigration enforcement, questions remain about the country's readiness to deal with the potential flashpoints and the role of the private security sector will play in maintaining stability. Joining me now to take this conversation forward, I'd like to welcome the CEO of Fidelity Services Group, Val Barkman. Mr. Barkman, an absolute pleasure to have you on, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Barkman, I think just, how the South African Police Service was able to sort of bring in private security to assist in such a critical moment like this for the country.
Yes, I think it's been a process. We've been working with them for a while, but I think lessons learned from the 2021 riots that we had, definitely there's a much better collaboration between ourselves and SAPS.
Mr. Barkman, I listened to the CIRA press conference that happened yesterday, and I think a lot of this is down to intelligence sharing. Talk to us about that, how private security is going to bring its intelligence to assist the South African Police Service.
Well, we as a business, we've got a huge footprint. We've got more than 270 branches national, so also with a huge staff complement, and through the intelligence and all the other security companies that are involved, we'll share the intelligence and it will go through to a joint operations center where all of this will be shared amongst each other. And of course, as a business, we'll have quite a few helicopters up in the air to verify and to make sure that the information that comes through is verified and true.
Mr. Barkman, a lot of what has been discussed is a sort of verification system. Talk to us about that. What does that entail? I know that private security, uses this quite a lot. So talk to us about how this verification system will be used before passing on information to the police.
Well, I think there's a lot of information coming through. We've got a Fidelity Business Intelligence Center that deals and verifies with it. So also on social media, etc., we gather all that information. We've got an informer network out there. And of course, we're verifying all of that with it. And also, we have seen where there's been applied for peaceful marches, etc. I know that some of them has been declined. We know that they always don't stick to the rules. And definitely, we're planning on making sure. So sharing all the information, getting it together, and then, of course, also deploying teams to those areas where we expect some possible incidents that could happen.
Also, within the discussions that were happening, Mr. Barkman, was, control rooms and communities. I mean, how important is sort of these community policing forums, community policing networks? I know that private security, works closely with them because without, having the sort of eye on the ground, it becomes very difficult for either SAPS, private security or other crime-fighting agencies to have some sort of a understanding of what is going on. So talk to us about that with regards to the sort of community role that's going to be played, leading up to June the 30th.
So as per the Eyes and Ears project that we've got with the SAPS, there's more than 500 companies that are a part of that, where all that information is being shared. You're 100% right. We need the eyes and ears on the ground to report it. So there is a communication channel set up so that everybody can verify and send that information through. And of course, with drone capabilities plus air support, we would be in a position also to verify and to confirm, as well as open space public cameras that are being used to monitor and to see what's happening. So definitely, yes, I think we are much better prepared. dealing with the information, and of course hope that we can manage the process.
You mentioned drones. What we have seen now with the Border Management Authority, they've started using drones to monitor borders. How effective are drones going to be? Because I think both you and I know, the power of drone technology in monitoring many of these flashpoints. So talk to us about that, and of course what the private security industry is bringing to with regards to this.
Well, I think there's quite a few players in the market and security business that are all supporting this process without any remuneration, but supporting government and deploying drones in certain areas so that we can give live footage through, monitor situations, especially at high-risk areas, and of course to use some of this footage as intelligence, and of course to use it in the case should there be any prosecution, and use it as evidence.
Mr. Baartman, a lot of the discussion has been the lessons learned from July 2021. Part of the criticism against government was that intelligence was not up to date, or intelligence missed a few of what was needed to sort of quell any of the unrest that happened 5 years ago, I beg your pardon. What lessons have been learned from a private security aspect, or what sort of advice can the private security industry offer government in terms of what they could have learned from July 2021 and taking it into what we're going to see next week?
Well, I think definitely we need to be prepared. So you need to prepare and you need to plan what you want to do. So we have moved resources to a lot of the areas where we believe there could be some problems, so that we can respond immediately and there's no delay to move people from certain areas to other areas. So have different teams available in different areas to support the teams on the ground and working hand in hand with SAPS. Because remember, as a private company, we have only certain mandates that we can execute on, and we will stick to that. We cannot exceed that.
You mentioned mandates. What role will Fidelity, in other private security firms play alongside SAPS without overstepping those legal boundaries?
Well, we are firstly contacted to all our all our clients and customers, and we need to make sure that to them. So, according to the Act and law, we will address and deal with each and every situation. We will not use any live ammunition. So we are well catered and prepared for that. Riot teams, etc., has been deployed all over South Africa, and yes, to deal with it in a proper fashion, and also try and make sure that there's no any lives lost. Protect our security officers where they are in danger. If we need to uplift them or move them from those properties, etc., that's what we would do.
Mr. Baartman, from the intelligence that private security is gathering at this moment or has gathered, are we at a serious threat? Are we at that level right now in terms of what is being faced to the country at this moment? What is the assessment so far by private security?
Well, you cannot underestimate any threat. We don't know what would happen. We know that they say there would be no violence, etc. But we've seen that goes out of hand. There are people that would look at opportunities out there, criminal activity, and that might spread. So also, for the individuals to take the law in their own hand, especially if they do find a immigrant that the paperwork is not correct or so. So for us, I think we take this seriously. We need to be prepared and, assume that if it happens, that we're ready for it.
Business and critical infrastructure. I think that was a lot of the sort of aspect within South Africa, especially when it comes to the economy, that got affected during those July 2021 unrest. From a private security perspective, sharing that intelligence with SAPS, how is the preparedness with regards to that? Because when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to the economy, this is the lifeline of our country.
Definitely, and I think we've seen that in 2021, exactly what happened and the impact that had in the industry. As you're also aware, we in the fire response service as well. So those vehicles are all put on high alert. So should there be any fire damage or whatsoever, that those vehicles would respond to that. But yes, the impact could be massive. And I think that's why ourselves and the police got together to say, we cannot let this happen again to South Africa. We need to stand together and make sure that we protect people, property, and make sure that we don't lose any lives.
Mr. Baartman, we're in the age of social media. We're in the age where misinformation can spread like wildfire. We're at an age where it's very important to have the right information. And I think when it comes to the media, it's a responsibility from our part also. How important is it that this misinformation does not fester across social media, because it takes one or two irresponsible individuals to spread that information, and it can cause chaos, it can cause panic, and ultimately it can cause unnecessary violence?
Well, that has already started. I think if you've seen some of these clips that's been circulating on social media, definitely the perception is that this is chaos and there's violence, etc. So for us, it is important that we will verify immediately, either through helicopter support with the visual equipment on that, as well as drones. And of course, a lot of people on the ground, where we will gather information from an informal network and all the smaller companies in the areas as well, to keep us up to date, feed all of that into. And I think one thing that we've tried to do is to get a centralized point where all the information will be gathered and verified before we react to that.
I'm sure, Mr. Baartman, that along with you and alongside other security, private security, agencies, there has been a sort of consensus that there is sufficient resources. Does the private security industry have sufficient resources to deal should there be unrest, not only happening in one province, but multiple provinces across the country?
Well, between all the security companies, if you look at the amount of security officers that are employed in the industry, definitely. But yes, you also can only deploy certain level of staff to these type of environments. And yes, I think everybody is geared up. I think that's the difference. We've prepared. We've made sure that we can support our customers and the public in general in all the areas, and put everybody on high alert, but also to try and continue business as normal, because we've seen what has happened. I'm also glad to see that some of the taxi associations are saying that they're not part of this, and that also is a big plus in our favor.
Mr. Baartman, one final question. Just your message as private security to the rest of the country on what the do's and the don'ts needs to be when the day of June 30th, even leading up to June the 30th, because what we do see sometimes is sporadic violence that could occur even before that happening. Just your message, Mr. Baartman.
Well, definitely to be careful, to be on the lookout. If there's any suspicious activity, speak to your staff, speak to your people in the area, make sure. We've also linked into a lot of public space cameras, so we will verify and also confirm if there's been any action or reaction in certain areas. And what I mean is we need to keep business going, and we need to manage it in that way.
Mr. Val Baartman, absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
That's Val Baartman. He is the CEO of Fidelity Services Group. Well, after the break, I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Ori Goldberg. Of course, currently, there's sort of a fragile ceasefire. Agreements seem to be tentative between the United States and Iran. But what is the take from an Israeli perspective? Many within the right wing of Israel are not happy that the ceasefire is happening. What does this mean with regards to the future of Israel? I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Ori Goldberg after the break.